We're back. Welcome back to episode 10 of Revolving Culture. I know it's been a long time, and you're probably wondering, who are these people? Why am I listening to them? Where did I find this podcast? Well, we have been gone for a while, but we are back. It's been kind of a topsy-turvy, hurvy-curvy kind of 3 or 4 months, but life has ceased to get in the way, and we're back to being able to do this on a more regular basis. We are so glad to get back. Let's kind of, since it's been a while, let's kind of go back through kind of who we are and what we do. I am your moderator, Marty.
Hi, I'm Robbie.
And I'm Andrew.
I'm Vicky.
And I'm Jeremy.
And we do, this is Revolving Culture. We take a look at popular culture then, now, and forever, where we've been, where we are, where we're going. And like I said, we've all kind of taken a little catching up because life in all of its various ways has gotten in the way of us being able to get together and do this. So we've missed you. We certainly have missed each other. So it's really cool to finally get back together and get back in. And we've got a lot to take a look at. Does anybody have anything they want to say about the hiatus? However we want to look at that.
Just really glad to be back. This is a fun indulgence that we all get to participate in, and I love the company of all my fellow co-hosts, and I'm very glad to be doing this again.
Yeah, same here. We were out for a while due to holidays and
just all sorts of stuff.
Pregnancy.
No, look, if I wanted to tell them I was pregnant, I would have. Thanks so much, Andrew.
Yeah.
Some of us are still pregnant.
Yeah.
We'll soon have another co-host.
In light of today's topic, big things happening this past year. One of them for us personally was we're having a child, and then 2, we bought a house. So that's where we've been.
Big life has gotten in your way. I mean,
we're adults now, guys.
Got old.
Yeah.
Got old.
Welcome to maturity. How does the grass look on this side of the fence, mother? No.
It happened so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the way of it. It's in life. It happens to all of us. You wake up one day and suddenly the world is entirely different than it was when you went to sleep the night before. So we're certainly glad to be back. This is episode 10. We did because of, again, like we said, life has gotten in the way. While we were gone, if you noticed a slight hiccup in the ability to find our older episodes, we did have a hiccup there, but it's been corrected and everything should be back up and running. We do need to say real quick thank you to you guys. We've passed 1,000 listeners, which just blows my mind.
Thank you, Chad.
But geez. Thank you, Chad. We appreciate that, man. But no, seriously, that's humbling and such a privilege to know that many people have listened to what we have, this sort of fun little thing that we've gotten together to do. So thank you all very much for listening and for your support. We can't tell you how much it means to us. Feedback at any time is always welcome on any of our multiple ways of getting in contact with us. And we'll go through some of that later as well. But like Andrew said, we're looking at the year 2016, which we talked a little bit a couple of days ago about, sort of phrases that sum up the year 2016. And I think one of them that maybe I or somebody came up with was, wait, what? Because I think that really is maybe the common reaction for everybody, because so much happened in 2016. I mean, the giant elephants in the room, which we're really not going to be looking at too much, of course, is the George R.R. Martin-esque parade of celebrities who we lost this year and people of cultural note. Especially here in the United States, of course, the political climate changed drastically. But again, we're a pop culture podcast more than we are a political culture podcast. So that's really not going to be our focus. Beyond those two subjects, before we get into some of the more pop culture stuff, does anybody have anything they want to talk about 2016? before we really just get into the meat and potatoes of this thing?
I'm glad to be past it.
Yeah.
Glad to close the books on that one.
It was a really great year, like I was talking about in a personal aspect, or in all ways. But man, in society,
it was eventful.
Yeah, it was a tough one.
It was one of the for me and my wife. It was one of the funniest and most stressful years ever.
Yeah.
Most frustrating, but also like one of the, and still going, one of the best years for comedy because I don't support our president or what he's doing, and he is a big fat joke, but it's hilarious, but it's aggravating.
Yeah,
it's true that comedy,
comes out of tragedy
prospers in moments like this. Yeah,
and music you're starting to see an uptick and stuff too.
Oh yeah. So let's
I did want to say one thing. We are coming to you today on the day of passing of a great actor, Bill Paxton.
Very true.
A Dallas native.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if anybody has a chance, check out. I've told all these guys here, but the WTF podcast with Mark Maron recently did an episode with Bill Paxton where he goes into his background, his family history, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and I'd mentioned to them that the town that I was born and raised in northern Oklahoma is where they filmed Twister. And I had a lot of friends that were extras or who were parts in that, hung around that movie set. And they said that while Helen Hunt was a thoroughly unpleasant human being, that he just couldn't have been a nicer guy. He was warm and friendly to everybody. He played with the kids in between takes, like when they were waiting for setups. He'd get pick-up basketball games going with kids that happened to be waiting around. It was everything I've ever heard about the guy was that he was regardless of Chet in Weird Science, he was a Class A guy and was really good.
Marty, isn't Bill Paxton's belt still on that? Was it like a fence pole or something like that?
Like a pipe.
Oh, yeah.
That pipe?
Yeah, I think they left it there as a sort of memento of the only notable and important thing to hit Kay in Osage County, Oklahoma, until Meryl Streep made a movie about it.
Yeah, I was going to mention how there's probably nothing else going on in Oklahoma.
That's not in that part of Oklahoma. No,
not in the whole state.
Northeastern Oklahoma is. I mean, if you've seen Osage, August Osage County.
That's a fantastic movie.
But that's the area of Oklahoma that they're talking about.
I really like that movie. I like the writer of that film and all his other films, and for anyone not in the know, it's Tracy Letts is his name. He's the son of Billy Letts, who's a novelist, and tons of his plays have been made into films. Another one includes Bug, and another one which, if you haven't seen it, I'd absolutely recommend anyone listening with don't have kids present, but seek out and watch Killer Joe, because that is
That's a crazy.
That is a train wreck of a movie. It's crazy.
He is really into incest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he has a thing for it.
There's a theme running through his work.
My only issue with the movie was I wasn't feeling well that day, so I wanted to just stay in bed. And on the front cover, they're both like laughing it up, looking like they're having a good time, and I was like, "Yeah, I want to watch this."
Just clarify: are we talking about August Osage County?
Yeah, we are.
Who's on
it's not a feel-good movie.
No.
Who's on the cover?
Meryl Streep and Julia Roberts.
Okay,
Roberts.
Yeah. It's not the world's most accurate look at life in Osage County, but that sort of dreary kind of it's the size of Rhode Island, Osage County, with a population of maybe a couple of thousand in the entire county. So a lot of it's just grassland, and it's when in college I knew a kid whose mom worked in the sheriff's department for Osage County, and we were driving somewhere, so I got to go visit and drop something off with my mom at work. So we walked into the Osage County Courthouse, and this is 1994, maybe 93, and that jail looked like something out of Game of Thrones. I mean, and granted, my perception might be colored by the fact it's been since 1993, but as I recall it, it was just this dank stone hallway, and I was told there were cells down there, but for all I know, there was just pits, and I was like, wow, that's my like enduring image, and I've got family that live in Osage County. I know that's not how it really is, but that's like the enduring image for me of Osage County is that dank, creepy jail
dungeon.
Yeah, very much like
that's how I imagine all of Oklahoma.
One last,
I don't like you people anymore.
One last thing about Paxton. Did want to say, because you brought up Chet, his character Chet from Weird Science. He talks about formulating that character, and John Hughes.
Yeah, John Hughes
came to him and was like, I guess during the auditions he blew it out of the water. So John Hughes was just like, ham it up, do whatever you want. So he was just pulling stuff that his dad used to do to him. And like, I think he had a line about, do you want like some type of sandwich with cigarette butts or something like that. And he talks about that's something his dad would tell him when he was hungover and came home, like all the time. And just a lot of stories like that where I'm gonna miss him.
Yeah, I hated, not hated, it's maybe not the right word, but his character in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I would have rather that ended a different way. Because I liked that character a lot. I was like, that they need that one guy, the alpha dog. I really liked that. So yeah, it's a sad day. We've lost Bill Paxton.
I have a question for you guys.
Sure.
Who would you rather die? Bill Paxton, Bill Pullman, or Bill Cosby?
Bill Cosby.
Yeah, it's not even I thought it was going to end at Pullman. I knew you were going to at least mention Pullman.
If you would have asked me that 10 years
that's
ago,
what I was going to say.
Yeah,
you would have asked
would have been a different answer.
Yeah.
Bill Pullman would have been in trouble.
Bill Pullman would have been dead.
Come on, man. He was the president. And
this is our Independence Day.
Yeah. We will not go quietly into the night.
Okay, let's leave us edit out Marty's sound of a gunshot taking down Bill Pullman. I don't want that shit on my conscience.
Tonight, Bill Pullman died at the Oscars.
Now I can finally assassinate Bill Pullman, and I'll be able to just pin it on Marty. Like,
the plan has come to fruition.
10 years ago, it would have been a really tough question because Pullman was in Igby Goes Down, which I've seen like 4 or 5 times, and he's awesome in that for his like brief cameo. Anyway,
ever since Cosby started, we found out that he was eating fresh this whole time.
That's what started. We found out.
Exactly.
Right. He's been doing it for a while.
Came to light. Yeah.
So it since we've mentioned movies, that's probably as good a place as any. Let's start with TV and movies. Looking back at 2016, there's been a lot of good television and a lot of good movies, and surprisingly enough, there's also been some not so good. Does anybody have one they want to start out with in particular?
I'd like to start with one that I've seen recently, which is the August Wilson adaptation Fences, with Denzel Washington and what is that actress's name, Vicky?
Viola Davis.
Viola Davis. And they're both amazing in it. And the guy that played Bubba in Forrest Gump is also in it, playing a slightly similar role, and he's really good in it. I mean, everybody in that cast is just. It feels.
I've heard nothing but good things about it.
It feels like
one star doesn't outshine the other.
No,
it's not a vehicle for one particular person. It's a straight ensemble. Is kind of what I've heard about.
Yeah,
and it does feel like you're watching a play being filmed.
Yeah,
because I think they pulled straight from the screen or the play itself.
Yeah.
Anyhow, but awesome movie, incredible performances.
Worth noting that as we record this, that show may or may not have won several Academy Awards.
Yeah.
Because we are recording this the night that the Academy Awards are airing.
I wanted to start with that just because there were so many sequels and
it's like any other year in Hollywood. It feels a lot of Attack of the Clones.
Yeah. And I know, I don't know if all of you guys have seen The Nice Guys.
Yeah,
but that came out.
No, you guys. Robbie was telling me about that. I know I have not seen it yet. It's on my cable. I was about to. It's on my on demand. I think I'm going to have to watch it.
It's pretty good. I feel like really underrated.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. It kind of flew under the radar because I hadn't heard anything about it until Robbie mentioned it to me one day at work, and just from the sound of it, I'm like, wow, really? It's those two actors and that kind of a premise. And I hadn't seen a trailer, hadn't heard of the friggin' movie until he mentioned it.
Jeremy saw it early on and couldn't stop talking about it and praised the script a lot. It's Shane Black wrote it, right?
Yeah, Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense.
No, the first Lethal Weapon, because that matters to me. If it matters to nobody else.
He was also in Predator. He was the little skinny guy.
Oh, yeah. I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, that movie, Marty, that movie's, it doesn't stop.
I noticed, I noticed it in my on-demand on cable. I'm going to, maybe tomorrow, that might be something when I get home early, sit down and...
There are just a couple of moments of just completely surreal comedy. And then, I don't want to speak too much more, otherwise I feel I'd risk spoiling it, but just completely left of field, out of nowhere moments that are
improvisational,
charm the hell out of me. Yeah, it's a really fun movie.
It wasn't one that I have seen. I don't necessarily know that it would be one. I mean, it'd be kind of amusing to see, but a movie moment that amused the hell out of me in 2016 was I forget which California movie theater it was. Either inadvertently, air quotes. I still think was when they aired the Sausage Party Red Band trailer before like. A Pixar movie, maybe might have been Finding Dory or something like that.
What?
That's just I would have given anything to have been a fly on the wall in that theater when Sausage Party's Red Band trailer got past a certain point. Because it starts out feels very, it's a kids, and then when the potatoes start screaming, and you're just like, what the hell am I watching? And I can just picture the parents and the kids go, ah!
Did you see the movie?
I've seen parts of it, like a couple of small segments of it. I haven't seen all of it yet. It's something I want to see. It wasn't something I was going to pay for to see, but oh god, it looked good.
It was very interesting. I would recommend anybody to go watch it.
I believe it was recently added to Netflix, or
it was.
I think so. One of the streaming servers might have been HBO Go. I'm not sure.
Don't hold us to that, but we're thinking.
I shouldn't have even mentioned that.
I think it might have been
completely speculative.
HBO Go.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Yeah.
That's okay. I've got that too. Fair enough.
I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Let's see. From the comic book geek in me, this was a pretty good year for comic book movies. Civil War. I have this weird. There's lots of movies I want to see, and I just don't get around to seeing them. I mean, it's not for lack of I don't have it. They're there. I own them. The motivation to get in a chair and watch a full movie, for whatever reason, in the last 3 or 4 years, has become harder and harder for me to do. And I mean, I've waited for Deadpool for so long, still haven't seen it.
Oh, really?
No.
You gotta watch it.
Yeah, you began this by speaking about how impressive this year was for comic book movies, and in my opinion, you haven't seen the two best ones before. Deadpool and Doctor Strange.
I know.
You still haven't seen, right? Oh, yeah, you're missing out, man.
I love Civil War. I am one of the few human beings on the planet, it appears, that really enjoyed Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
I haven't cared for the X-Men movies, so I don't know that necessarily I can speak to how much I would like them because I haven't seen Apocalypse yet. But the fact that in 2017 we saw all these cool kind of Marvel and DC characters coming to the screen. We got Star Wars.
Rogue One.
Yeah, Rogue One.
Rogue One
out.
Was really. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
I enjoyed that one more than
Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Well, it felt more like, I'm sure it felt more like a new Star Wars movie instead of I liked Force Awakens, but again, I liked it better in 1977.
Yeah.
So this felt probably more like a proper new Star Wars movie.
What I thought was really interesting about Rogue One was how much when you look at the original Star Wars films, so much of it, of the imagery and just the scenarios play out like a World War I or World War II story. All the dogfighting, from World War I
espionage,
inspired, X-wing, the X-wing and TIE fighter battles, and just like Jeremy said, the espionage and everything. And there are a couple of scenes in Rogue One that involve just land battles that look like were it not for the fact that everybody's firing laser guns, look like they could be straight out of a World War II movie. And I think
that was by design.
Yes,
that was the kind of story that was intended to tell.
Yes, exactly.
A very espionage,
underground resistance kind of.
Yeah, the birth of the rebellion.
It felt like like all the exposition's it's all out of the way, and at this point we're telling a story within this universe, and you have all knowledge of what you need to know about the universe, and and
no introductions.
Exactly. I mean, you're just living inside of it, and you see everything that you know. There's no need for explanation.
Yeah, and it'd be easy for that story to not have tension because anyone who's seen New Hope knows how this story ends.
Yeah,
you know that we acquired those plans. But that
no one
does
ever
not at all diminish their what the characters are trying to achieve, and
and no one ever expected or had any idea that final scene with Darth Vader is what preceded the moment before he confronted Leia.
Oh man, seeing him just tear through those soldiers was
on the edge of my seat.
Like, that's how you want to view Darth Vader, not as this snotty nosed brat. It kind of brought him back.
Yeah, seeing him getting his hands dirty instead of ordering
just standing there, breathing heavy.
Yeah, he's
made things happen. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Adrian.
Speaking of like X-Men Apocalypse, I really liked. It was the most comic booky of the X-Men films that I've seen so far. It was less trying to be like a genre film and more being a comic book film in itself. It felt like watching, a Saturday morning episode of X-Men. And that's why I liked it. I know
check it out.
Never a bad time. The Saturday morning X-Men.
Not every comic book movie needs to be a dour, Chris Nolan.
Well, and not every comic book movie needs to tell a deep philosophical truth.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes they just need to be an episode of G.I. Joe. Yeah. Lots of bright lasers and lots of action and
a contrived reason for these two or however many characters to be face to face with one another. Yeah.
Marty, you mentioned. Maybe we didn't all get to see the movies that we wanted to see throughout the year, and maybe at some point we will. Are there any that you feel that you missed that you really, really, really want to see as soon as possible, like Arrival or...
Yeah, I do. Arrival for me.
Yeah, so it sounds like Jeremy and I both missed Arrival, and it's a shame because all the feedback I've gotten from it is that it's just a really great philosophical sci-fi story, and it's exactly up my alley, and I've just deprived myself of, just like Marty was saying, that Deadpool is tailor-made for him, and
I've waited for that movie for forever.
I cannot believe, because you always talk about how good
Ryan Reynolds. I've been waiting for him to play Deadpool, and here's the thing, and here's kind of the reason why, because I do tend to have, when it comes to these long series of movies, I tend to have this weird OCD where I have to force myself to not watch shit in order. And because I haven't seen like X-Men New Class, I haven't seen any of the preceding probably 4 X-Men movies, for whatever reason, I consider like I can't watch Deadpool until I've seen these other movies. And so I keep going, well, I'll watch it as soon as I get done watching the X-Men movies. And it just, one thing never happens to another. So it's my like weird put it all in order hang up that's kept me from watching Deadpool.
But there's no connection. really at all.
I think it's fair to say you could make the exception with Deadpool. Like going to try to watch X-Men Apocalypse, that might be a little weird if you haven't seen the past 2-3 X-Men movies, but watch Deadpool.
Okay,
watch Deadpool and Jeremy.
That probably sits at the top of my what I want to watch. Like most immediately is maybe Deadpool and there was another movie I just picked up on Blu-ray that obviously I'm not looking that much forward to because I'm bunkered if I can remember what it was. So what about anybody else?
I have...
I'm sorry, go ahead, Jeremy.
No. You go, and then I was going to make a recommendation, but you say what you want. I will edit this out.
Well, go ahead, Andrew. You were going to say something.
I was just going to say I really want to see the movie Moonlight, which I know is up for best picture tonight.
What is that one?
I don't know if I'm familiar with that one.
At the Academy.
Robbie, can we get that updated in the Oscars tonight?
Let's see. Did Moonlight win yet? Let's see.
Who won best oral cinematography?
Oral cinematography. That's at the porn.
Yeah.
The AVN Awards or whatever those are called.
AVN.
There's that. I never saw it, but speaking of this, I think this was 2015. But what was the film that Joseph Gordon-Levitt wrote?
About the bro with the big
the gym rat who's addicted to porn. And I remember the trailer had that fantastic joke where
it's Don John.
Don John, yeah. And where the
Don Johnson,
the Scarlett Johansson character is insisting that no real movies have awards. These have awards too.
I'm not familiar with Moonlight.
Moonlight, from what I've gathered, I haven't looked too much into it because I just kind of want to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Is the story of a young man and they show his development from the time he's a child into his teenage years and then as an adult. Similar, I guess, to... I've heard it compared to the movie Boyhood, the Richard Linklater film.
It was a good one.
But, obviously not filmed in the same style where, they follow...
Where it took 10 years to film it.
Yeah.
But it's an inner city character who's, I'm guessing, having to deal with the turmoils that come with living close to the streets and those sorts of things. But I really love what I've seen about on it, and it's gotten so much praise, and really looking forward to watching it. Probably going to illegally watch it.
No, he's not.
Or,
just for the record, no, he's really not.
Did anybody get to watch Hacksaw Ridge?
No.
I really want to see that one too. Yeah.
Let's as we're between movies, we were also going to talk a little bit about television series.
Yes.
There's been some pretty good television come out this year. Not the dearth of political presidential debates and things like that took a lot of airtime. The Preacher, I thought that was a really interesting. If I was going to see that coming, I would have seen that coming on HBO, something like that. I did not see that coming on AMC. I believe that's right. Wasn't it on AMC
it's on
Network?
AMC.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see it coming there. I mean, I guess it's one thing to put Mad Men and stuff like that, but I remember reading the Preacher comics, and I'm like, wow, you've just even to get it on AMC, it feels like you would have to.
I have a feeling that it was the result of The Walking Dead being the success that it's been, and somebody saying what other, kind of
mature,
left of center, transgressive, and mature, stories that are kind of legend in modern comic books. Could we try to adapt? I hadn't finished it. I watched about halfway through it, and
was it worth the time?
It was. I mean, I was enjoying what I was seeing. It wasn't.
I don't. As I understand it, it's not a ABC following the graphic novel, following the comic story.
Which I'm fine.
It's
with.
a TV version.
I'm better with that than if it had been a straight adaptation.
Yeah, it's easy to make that criticism of different things, and I've long when it comes to adaptations, I'm in the camp of I already know what happened in the previous story. I don't need it retold to me word for word.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see a different spin on it.
Tell a different story. Yeah.
And also
they've done a good job.
When was the first run of Preacher? Because I wouldn't imagine a lot of illusions and things like that translate as well.
They
updated
it was
it.
late 90s, I think.
Yeah, it was mid to late 90s. Yeah. Excellent. I'll tell you another TV show that really sort of grabbed me that's in this same vein of a property that they didn't take and make a straight adaptation of, and that's Magicians. I love that series, that trilogy of books, Lev Grossman books. I loved them. I didn't really want to see that. As I understand it, it like airs. I caught mine through Netflix, so I think I get the unedited version, which I'm watching it going, I think this airs on MTV, no, Sci-Fi. And I'm like, there's no way Sci-Fi is airing this in America without editing it. But it is so good, and it sort of begins like the books, and then at a certain point, it, like skipping a rock, it gets off of the story, and occasionally it'll pop back down and bounce off of the original story, and then it gets back up and away, and then it'll pop back down to kind of touch some points from the original story. But by and large, way different, and it is so good. It is such a good look at an honest look at Harry Potter in college. I mean, that's essentially what it is Harry Potter gets magical abilities and goes about making the world a better place. That's not always going to be the way, and especially if you're a career, math geek and alpha student who hasn't ever gotten the girl and hasn't ever gotten the respect for being the dude who's really good at math and in all the AP classes, and you tell that dude you've got magical powers. It's not always going to be I'm sitting out, and when it's an entire school full of people like that, if they're doing good, it's sort of on accident or because it has crossed with whatever they wanted to do for themselves, and it's just an excellent, well done. The graphics, the special effects are really well done. It was better than I expected it to be. I watched the first episode going like, okay, whatever. I really like this book series. I don't want to see Sci-Fi's version of this.
Yeah.
Holy crap, it was good.
Is it is it still ongoing or?
Yeah. The first season's on Netflix. Second season's currently airing, and I just with stuff like that, I've learned it's best to just buy that season on Amazon if you can, because then like this thing airs on Wednesday. On Thursday, Amazon tells me my copy's available to stream, and it's unedited, it's ready to go, and so I'm following along this season like every Thursday's Magicians Night, and I can sit down and watch it. It's one of the few TV shows that I've really been like, it's must-see TV. It's Thursday, I'm watching Magicians.
Guys, I have no idea what y'all are talking about. These last two shows, like I have never heard of them. I don't know what y'all are talking about. But
Vicky, have you watched Westworld?
I have. I really like it. You know what, guys? We need to touch on a more important television show.
Hit it.
The O.J. Simpson made-for-TV drama with John Travolta and Cuba Gooding Jr.
My wife and I are in the midst of it now.
Okay.
No?
What?
It was a phenomenon.
We've spent this entire podcast so far talking about all the things that we love.
No spoilers. I don't want any spoilers.
We've been talking about all the things that we love, but we haven't... We haven't touched on.
It's my turn.
Okay.
What the? I mean, the documentary I'm aware of, the Made in America.
So there was a
hell are you people
dramatic miniseries produced with.
It was very dramatic.
Yeah, and it's that was at a time when the events actually transpired. I was young enough that I don't, and it's been interesting for my wife and I to watch it and wonder, how much of this is accurate, because I don't remember hearing any of the facets of this, and it seems can any of you speak to that who've actually watched it?
I know that a lot of it is extremely accurate.
That's what I mean. I can't imagine it wouldn't be. Otherwise, it'd be too easy to criticize. When it's actually happening. Like for instance, one of the things that they depict is during the getaway in the Bronco that he had a gun to his head the whole time, and that was complete news to me. That was a fact.
Oh yeah. God, I remember that day as probably the one person who was old enough when all this crap was going down. I distinctly remember that day. Because it stopped every news organization, and everyone was fully like, OJ knows he's caught. And he, he's got one of his teammates to drive him, trying to get to the airport, and gets sort of recognized. And now we're in this chase, and I can remember firmly believing like this ends with him shooting himself, because there's no way he's he allows himself to go to jail and stand trial for this, and he knows it. So this is his out. He was hoping to get out of the country, can't get out of the country. So that's why I brought this. Yeah,
I will say.
Go ahead, Vicky. What were you saying?
When we watched the series, we watched maybe because it's probably only like 7 episodes or something like that, right?
I'm not sure. I think it might be a little longer because Kristen and I are 6 or 7 in, and it doesn't seem like it's wrapping up soon. Yeah,
because that was me.
Apparently,
sorry,
I didn't know he was in prison right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he went to jail for threatening a sports collectible guy, and that
occurred.
The thing you have to remember about when that was going on TV, and I think there was a newspaper comic strip that made fun of it. It might have been Foxtrot, had the kid flipping channels on the TV, and it was like, today on OJ's, today, and he flips channels, and then today in the OJ trial, and he flips the channel, and it's like, I don't believe it. Aliens have landed on the white. Click. Yesterday on the OJ Simpson. I mean, that was all television was going to give you after 6 o'clock in the evening was what happened today in the OJ trial. Let's talk about what happened yesterday in the OJ trial.
Well, what I was going to say is we didn't finish watching it. Like, it was just too much. They had a pretty good ensemble cast, and they just hammed it up.
The acting is a bit much.
And we stopped watching it.
I couldn't take it. A couple things I wanted to say.
I want to
about
finish it, though. I do, but
the people who created or produced, executive produced it, whatever, are the same people who did American Horror Story. So that gives you an idea of how dramatic it is and like over the top it is.
I haven't seen anybody break out into a musical number yet, so that's one thing. Like,
they took liberties, obviously, with certain aspects, such as Rob Kardashian's involvement.
Yeah.
And I think like at one point early on, like within the first 2 or 3 episodes, there's a scene where the Kardashian kids are all gathered around the television and they see their father on screen and they all start chanting Kardashian, Kardashian. And like the mother, whatever the mother's name of the Kardashians is,
whoever that bitch is.
Yeah, she's like, Kim, Chloe, whatever the other ones' names are. Like,
oh dear God.
As a way of like,
you as listener can be like, oh, yeah.
Someone's saying
it's Kardashian,
it was too much for me. I couldn't.
Yeah, I don't know that I would want to see a dramatization of, because it was so ubiquitous in the time that like every day I have lived since then has been a reward of a day where I didn't have to hear about what happened during the OJ trial and the OJ case, and it was so there in everyone's consciousness at that point that I don't necessarily know that I need to see actors reportraying that for me in an advanced dramatic way.
Dramatic.
So I've lived through it, and I'm thankful I no longer have to live through it. So I think I'm good without it.
Oh. Speaking of television that kind of was popular in the zeitgeist or what have you, do you guys know about Carpool Karaoke with
the Late Show?
Yeah, James Corden.
James Corden.
I cannot stand it.
Here's the kind of here's what I guess maybe I don't mind. I know of it. It's not something I care to watch, but any of these guys like the after shows, not the Tonight Show, not the Jimmy Kimmel Show, and not Stephen Colbert, the guys that have to follow that, I've got a lot of room in my heart for those guys, where David Letterman used to be for Johnny Carson, where Tom Snyder used to be for David Letterman. I've got a lot of room in my heart for those guys to do whatever the Craig Fergusons. So when they try something like this and it catches on, I'm like, Go run with it, enjoy it, because those are the guys that generally are doing the more interesting stuff. And I would like the more people that are paying attention to those after shows, I feel like the better comedy's going to be, because those are the guys that are really making the edgier stuff, because they're not being watched so closely by the networks. They're not the guys who have dudes in suits knocking on their doors going, the network has notes about your last joke.
Excuse me.
So I'm while I wouldn't watch it, I'm thrilled to death that the dude has struck a nerve and has got a lot of people watching his show.
Yeah, I just don't like it.
This is the first I've heard of this.
It's like he gets popular music
celebrities and just drives around a neighborhood and they sing along to the radio.
And they
like
usually
30
will do.
minutes?
They only do their music.
No,
though.
it's only like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, Michelle Obama did it, and they did.
She only sang the national anthem.
Yeah, they did one with like George Clooney and Julia Roberts and all these people that all like at Cannes or something like that.
They did Madonna, and it was the most frightening thing I've seen in a while.
Oh, I can imagine.
The Michelle Obama one was fun because Michelle Obama is fun, but the Madonna one, I think she's like dead on the inside.
Madonna's been dead on the inside since 1989, so that can't come as a surprise to anybody.
You see her eyes for a second, and there's nothing there. So,
but she was going to suck some dicks. There's got to be something there if you're going to suck some dicks for Hillary voters.
For Hillary, I'll. Yeah, that was the pledge she made. She hasn't delivered on it. I can guarantee you that.
Nope,
but,
I haven't gotten mine.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I missed this particular aspect of our presidential election. Like it was
that's where
Madonna
the election
offered
went.
to suck
Madonna
off.
Madonna was going to suck 40 million.
Yeah, this whole conversation is getting edited out of here.
Yeah. Stranger Things was awesome, but we've mentioned it like 40
Yeah, I was going to say, we dedicated damn near a whole episode.
We'll talk more about Stranger Things later in this episode.
Jeremy brought up Westworld, and I'm a big fan of Westerns. For anybody who knows, I love
just Westerns in general.
Yeah.
Especially
robot Westerns.
So
I dug the original movie with Yul Brynner. I haven't, which makes me sound older than I really am, but I'm open to seeing this. It's not one of those things I kind of needed to exist, especially in a post Michael Crichton world.
I really liked it.
It's not. I think you would do well to remove the association with this 70s film completely, because they're. I haven't seen the 70s film, but I can't imagine it's anything even remotely like
it. Doesn't
this.
sound like it from what you guys have mentioned just in us talking. It doesn't. It sounds like it's an expansion of the idea.
The idea inspired by but it's really good. Just philosophical sci-fi. It's
awesome
really good sci-fi is about the question of like what is humans and This gets down to the core of it in every way that you could possibly interpolate that question. It's really good.
Yeah, it is really good.
Yeah.
I was going to say the Western aspect of it piqued my interest, and then it's not a Western at all, not in the slightest. So.
Well, before we take a break, do we want to hit on talk about some music that came out this year that we were really enjoying,
or last year,
Yeah, 2016 music wise. I don't know if you guys have anything, but I have a short list. Radiohead put out Moonshade Pool, as awesome. It was amazing. They're at a point in their career where they just have complete mastery over what they do. It's not the same. It doesn't have the same energy that it once had, but they're just masters at their craft. I mean, they're amazing. Chance the Rapper's Coloring Book album was a lot of fun. It wasn't my favorite album. It's very childlike. His performances on SNL are worth it. To me, they were better than listening to the album itself, because his performances on Saturday Night Live were just bombastic. They were freaking awesome. Another band was Car Seat Headrest. I think this is their first or second album that they put out, was Teens of Denial, and it was a lot of fun, reminiscent of kind of the jingle pop that came out in the late 80s, early 90s.
Oh, really?
Good
I might
stuff.
have to check that out.
Parquet Courts. They're from here in Denton, I think. I think they were originally members of a band called Ferguson Geronimo, but they do kind of weird post-punk type stuff.
Yeah.
And they have a new album coming out this year. They're putting albums out like sometimes twice in a year, I think, at least once a year. but they're really good. And Kevin Morby, he put an album out called Singing Saw, which was very reminiscent of like Elliott Smith's work, and listening to it really reminded me of it. It reminded me of it so much that I went back and listened to Elliott Smith's Either Or, which is a good album to be sad to. But that's what I had. Kanye West's Life of Pablo was fun. It was a good album. What about this Meshuggah you got down here?
That's a good heavy album. That's good, man. It was good.
I took I don't think that I'd kind of written off Metallica over the last several albums. Just kind of washed my hands of them as a band. The movie Some Kind of Monster almost broke me. But I checked out when they first released a couple of the albums off of their new album, first tracks rather off of their new album, and it started to sound more like Metallica that I really enjoyed, the sort of Master of Puppets and Justice for All kind of level of Metallica. So that was really maybe one of the main new music of anything, because I tend to, through magazines like Prog Magazine and things like that, I tend to go, ooh, that sounds like a cool album. Of course, it came out a year and a half ago, but I wasn't exposed to it, and it's now on my radar, so I'll pick it up. So I tend to be kind of behind the curve on that kind of stuff, but the new Metallica album was actually surprisingly really good, kind of across the board. I dug that album way more than I thought I was going to when they first announced it. I was like, yeah, a new album from Metallica, great.
Was there an album that any of you guys listened to this year that maybe it didn't come out in 2016 that kind of moved you or you really enjoyed?
The past year, or during 2016, is when I discovered Father John Misty, and
who has a new album coming out?
Yes, I know. It can't come out fast enough. Damn it! If it had come out sooner, this would have been my topic to talk about for 2016 music. But both of his current albums, Fear Fun and I Love You, Honey Bear, that was my 2016. I played the hell out of those records, and I hope to do the same with this. There's a few songs already published for the new album. We'll get into our 2017 hype later, but I'm very much looking forward to it.
The Spice Girls reunion was rumored last year. Yeah, so
thankfully that didn't come to fruition.
Yeah.
If ever you had a reason to thank Posh Spice, thank her for putting her foot down on that and going, I ain't doing that.
Hey, some of us, I'm not going to say who, some of us were really big fans of the Spice Girls.
All right.
I liked Spice World.
I'll tell you what.
It was a good movie.
Right?
I just verified to speak for something that actually came out in 2016 and wasn't just discovered in 2016. I'm a big fan of a band called Big Business. And they put out an album called Command Your Weather. That in between listening to Father John Misty, I managed to squeeze in a little time to play that album dozens of times, and I wholly recommend it if you're just in a rockin' mood.
I don't know that it came out in 2016. If it did, it came out very early 2016. I stumbled across a band called the album's called Astoria. Let me get because I'm an old man. Marianas Trench, and they're kind of poppy, rocky. They may very well also be Canadian, so I'm sure they're very polite people. But it's a really catchy album, but it's kind of a concept album, and it's framed and inspired by, because it's called Astoria because Astoria, Washington is where the Goonies, the fictitious town that Goonies were taking place in. And so it's an album heavily inspired and a concept heavily inspired and heavily informed by those guys, the Goonies especially, but those types of 1980s
that's awesome.
Kid adventures. And it's really, really good, but the whole album is a giant mind worm. I mean, he's that kind of a songwriter that everything is really catchy, got strong hooks, and it sunk its claws into my psyche for a good chunk of the year. I did come across this last week. I picked up a copy of a British magazine called prog that just deals with prog rock, and they always have a sampler CD. And I had always heard of a band, I heard them referred to in the magazine as a band called Big Big Train. Excuse me, Big Big Train. And I'd never heard them, I'd heard of them. And one of their new tracks was on the this new sampler. And so I'm sort of discovering in retro this prog band that I hadn't been exposed to previously. So besides the failed Spice Girls reunion, Vicky, was there anything you really jumped into this year?
Music-wise? No, not really. I'm trying to think and...
Just spinning those same old Spice Girls records.
That's right. You just still want to be.
Right. I did listen to, especially towards the end of the year, I listened to Fleetwood Mac's Tusk album, which is the album that came out after Rumors. And oh my God, that's just so freaking good. There's this song called What Makes You Think You're the One. Mm-hmm. And the drumming on it is so, I don't know exactly how to explain it. It's not syncopated.
So Mick Fleetwood.
Yeah. It's very Mick Fleetwood.
What's funny is I was reading this thing about Rumors. It was like this 20 or 40 year anniversary thing, article about it. And they were talking about his drumming style and that he was trying to mimic a certain style while playing on You Can Go Your Own Way. Mm-hmm. And he couldn't get it down. He couldn't figure out why it just wouldn't sound the same, and he couldn't get the same type of rhythm. And then he was talking to one of his techs about it, and they asked, or he mentioned that he was dyslexic, and now he just kind of attributes his drum style to the fact that he's dyslexic and just the way his mind kind of warps rhythm. It just plays a part in how he's able to put together these really odd time signatures.
He goes his own way, is
yes,
what you're telling
exactly.
me.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Dyslexia is awesome.
That's and on that note, maybe we've hit as kind of the touching points of cultural stuff that have really impacted us this year. Let's take a quick break, and when we get back, let's take a brief moment to look at what's coming up that we're really looking forward to. So please stick around with us. We'll be right back. You are, as always, listening to Revolving Culture. Welcome back to Revolving Culture. We've been kind of looking, the first segment, we looked at a lot of stuff from 2016, the kind of year in review in popular culture. And I thought we might take a brief moment here towards the end to talk about what we're looking forward to coming into 2017. And let's start with really something we didn't really touch on in the look back, which is a subject near and dear to us, which is gaming. The sort of games and things that we're looking forward to this year, and maybe some of the stuff that we've played over the last year, the stuff that really stood out to us. Who wants to kick this part of it off? Does anybody have something that's jumping out at them? Go ahead, Robbie.
I played a game called The Witness. If any of you are familiar with a game called Braid, which was one of the kind of early indie games on Xbox Live, and PC back, about probably 6-7 years ago. By the way, speaking of just as a tangential for Braid, there's a fantastic video online of Soulja Boy playing Braid, and I wholly recommend that everybody watch that. He really encapsulates what makes Braid interesting. But anywho, that same developer released a game in 2016 called The Witness, and on the surface, it's the easiest comparison to make would be to Myst, because in the game you play a person who, with no prior knowledge of how they got there, finds themselves on this isolated island, and they're completely alone. and they're surrounded by puzzles. But in Myst, the puzzles are more of a nature of there's a missing component to this piece of technology that I need to locate and retrieve and bring back. In The Witness, virtually all of the puzzles are little line tracing kind of
mazes.
Little mazes, and as the game continues, new rules are introduced to the mazes, and it's just a really fascinating and very, very chill experience. There's I made a promise to myself when I first started playing it that I wouldn't look up any solutions to any puzzles. And what's really great is that there's such a variety of puzzles to be found that as soon as you come upon one that has you stymied, you can walk away from it, and you'll almost immediately find another one to get absorbed in. And what has also been really nice is my wife saw me playing it, and normally she doesn't pay any real attention to video games. It's just not something she's interested in engaging in. But she really took a shine to the game, and ever since, I've played almost 30 hours worth of it, and about 20 of those hours have been spent with my wife, helping us along. And between the two of us, we've come to virtually the end of the game. We a couple of weeks ago hit one that really has us stymied. And another thing that I think is fascinating about it is that and why I would encourage anybody who does take my advice and tries to play it is don't look up any solutions, because even if you have one that has you stumped, if you walk away from the game, just let it be for that time, and come back to it, a day or two later, or even just a few hours later with a fresh mind, and you'll probably see the solution almost instantly. And it's just you have to have some patience, and it's certainly not an exciting game in the sense that there's a bunch of action things happening, but the satisfaction of solving a puzzle that had you blocked for a while is it's
there's a game for the Xbox One called Pneuma Breath of Life that after you're done with a witness you might take a look at it. You can get it for a song, but that's essentially what it is this exact same concept of solving the puzzle to move on. Now the kicker to it is when you get to one that's like where there was one that's just completely stymied me, until you figure it out, you're not going any farther. You just kind of have to put the game away and come back to it. But it's exactly that same kind of game with lots of really weird ways of trying to solve puzzles. So I kind of know what you're talking about there, and I would encourage you probably once you've solved the witness, and if you guys still want, because Alicia does that with me, we both have tried Pneuma. If you want to continue that sort of an experience, that might be one to look up.
Sounds good.
Andrew, did you have one?
Not so much a specific game, but I did want to kind of touch on subjects from gaming from last year. Like Nintendo Switch was announced. That was a huge deal. I'm not as big of a gamer as everybody here, but that's exciting news, I know, for people who enjoy video games.
Yeah, especially for the people that are of a Nintendo frame of mind. That's always the big news is, we're within a couple of weeks of Switch.
Oh, a few days even. Yeah, it comes out this Friday.
I was thinking, it is the 3rd, isn't it? Yeah. And
Nintendo also launched the volley of releasing the NES Classic Edition last year, late last year. It was
around Christmas time of last year. Yeah, late fall, early winter.
And although I'm not ever going to purchase an old system when you can build your own for like $70.
Yep.
Yeah. $200 for one of those things is a bit much.
Yeah, so I just thought we should touch on, or Pokemon Go. Did anybody play any of that?
I never played it, but
10 whole minutes of it. Sat in my bed. I caught a Pokemon on my bed, and I said, "This isn't for me."
That's called masturbating. Tell it how it is.
Yes. So what we've established is Robbie has become the best, like no one ever was.
I did play a lot of, and still playing a lot of Skyrim Remastered.
Skyrim Remastered.
Hello, 2011.
That's right. I jumped into No Man's Sky, which has been kind of the thing that I think made No Man's Sky is that they've managed to evolve it. You know, like it's a very small team that put this very ambitious project together. So what first came out wasn't as initially intended, but as they've adapted it and they've put more updates up, the game has changed a lot and it's fleshed out a lot and it's become a lot more friendly because before, I've got a lot of patience for just wandering, but at a certain point in that game, you were just like, okay, I've wandered. I just got to be something else I can do on my console. But they've added enough new content and new ways of playing it and kind of sandboxed it up a little bit more to make it a little more interesting so you could come back to it. You had a fresh kind of take and a fresh look. I really liked it because it was a simpler version of Elite Dangerous, which gets really hard to do sometimes because it's such a hardcore flight sim. And No Man's Sky was a much more user friendly. And I really enjoyed it. But most of what I was playing was remastered this year. Skyrim remastered sucked up a lot of my time. Just kind of, and everyone's gone to the Rapture. Everyone's gone to the Rapture for the PS4 was a big thing for me. I really enjoyed that game. That's a kind of pure storytelling game. A very British apocalypse, I think, is how it was described. That's probably pretty accurate. Vicky, you said you wanted to talk about the game you were most looking forward to.
Is Parappa the Rapper coming out?
I don't know.
I've heard the same kind of rumors that a sort of remastered, updated Parappa the Rapper is coming out. That was an interesting subgenre of the Dreamcast era of gaming. That it was ahead of its time. I feel like then. I don't know. Has gaming evolved to where it's now in its time, or did it miss its window and is it now past its time?
Oh, it's far past its time at this point. It was what are those? What kind of game would that be classified as?
Parappa the Rapper?
Yeah, a rhythm game, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of it was the forerunner of Guitar Hero and
Rock Band.
The next closest thing. There was a game called Bust a Groove that had a similar idea where you had little dancing characters. And then there's Space Channel 5 was another one.
Yeah. The Spice Girls game was a lot like that.
I bet so. Yeah.
Naturally.
Hey, Vicky.
But just to interject real quick, Vicky's right. Parappa the Rapper will be getting an HD remake.
Do you guys remember Rez?
Yes. Rez was fantastic, yeah.
That was really a big precursor to the whole Guitar Hero Rock Band.
Mm-hmm. Well, if we're talking about games that we're looking forward to in 2017, I know you bought a copy of it, but Resident Evil 7,
which
Biohazard. Is already out, but
just hit the and I was trying to think. Whether fortunate or unfortunate, I suppose it depends on whether or not you're looking at my bank statement, but. Lego Dimensions sucked up a lot of time and a lot of money out of me because it was just this parade of pop culture and fairly 80s centric. I mean, they had some current popular culture stuff, but I mean, they're dusting off the A-Team. I mean, when you tell me that I can pair Batman and Gandalf with B.A. Baracus from the A-Team and Marty McFly from Back to the Future and Doctor Who and Scooby-Doo. I mean, I'll have to take a picture of it sometime. The army of Lego popular culture characters that are sitting on top of my gaming console where I'm storing them right now is frighteningly impressive. And it bleeds over into kind of what I'm looking forward to because they just released the newest batch that had Sonic the Hedgehog and there's 2 or 3 others, but when you're playing the game, you sort of see the Lord of sort of portals for all of the properties, and so you can see the properties that are still coming. And it's like there's like Teen Titans Go and a couple of others, but looming high on the horizon was Beetlejuice, and I just picked up the Gremlins, and it was full of that kind. And it looks like there may continue to be more stuff. Knight Rider was one that just came out in the last couple of weeks that I had to pick up. So that bridges the gap between what I've been playing and what I'm looking forward to. I just wish I made way more money because I'm spending too damn much money on crap for this game.
I'd say the one game that I'm looking forward to, and probably the one game that I'm most certain to play in the next year, is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Absolutely.
Oh god,
yes.
yeah.
And,
Mass Effect Andromeda. I'm ready for that to get here in a couple of weeks. But yeah, Red Dead Redemption was such a excellent story, but it takes place at the turn of the tide from the agrarian West to the industrial, age of steam.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to. I played that and I loved Red Dead Redemption, but I was like, what I really want is the pure Western. I want this property, but I want to see where these people were 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And so when they announced that that's where they were going with this, I couldn't have been more excited because I'm like, I don't need to see past that. I need to see before that.
Yeah.
I want this. Give me the gang of outlaws riding the Wild West, and I'm a happy man.
What about you, Jeremy?
Me, lately I'm still trying to chug through Dark Souls 3. This shit's hard. I'm really looking forward to get back to Mass Effect. You guys mentioned Mass Effect Andromeda, and I can't wait to get back to that universe. I didn't think that I was going to be as excited as I am, but I'm really excited for Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, I am too. I
don't know when I'm going to play it, but it looks so good.
Really, really, in high praise just across the board from all the early criticisms that have come about of it. And
seeing when they announced it, I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't get rid of my PlayStation 4. Because that's all it's coming out on, and I'm like, I'm so glad No Man's Sky kept my PlayStation 4 in the house, because I would have been really ticked if I couldn't play that game.
Yeah. I think that it's only going to be on Xbox and PC, but the game For Honor, I think it's on really cool.
Yeah, I know it's on.
I'm actually playing it on PC right now, and I'm having a blast with it. It's a fighting game that you don't have to come at it with the legacy of something like Street Fighter. And you can they give you a few different ways to. It's primarily a multiplayer game. There's a single player story, but it's nothing to write home about. But it's nice in the sense that it gives you flexibility in how you want to approach it with the different game modes that are available. If you want it to just be a one-on-one fighting game, it can be that. If you want to pair up with somebody else and make it a 2-on-2 game, or something larger like a 4v4 match, it's available to you, and it has a real strategic depth to it that I've really come to appreciate. I've put about I think maybe about 30 hours into it, and I've only really focused on playing one particular class of character, and there's 12 to be played throughout the game. So even if I were to just repeat that same process across those different characters, I'd have well over 100 hours into the game and would be satisfied. I've just barely started it on the Xbox, and it's fun. I don't know that it'll have the legs for me necessarily that maybe it's got for Robbie, because we're looking for two different experiences out of games as a general rule. Yeah.
So as I've enjoyed it, I can't promise that it might not be what I trade, or part of what I trade in to get Horizon Zero Dawn, because that's really more the experience maybe that I'm looking for. But that being said, I sat down to play it, and I've enjoyed it, and I really wasn't sure I was going to. So it does speak quite a bit to how good that game is, that even when it's not what I'm really looking for, I enjoyed the heck out of it when I've been playing it.
That's cool.
Besides games, let's see. We've dealt with some games. Let's talk about movies. It's going to be a parade of sequels coming out this year, but there's some really, really good movies coming out in this next year. Let's kick it off with kind of the rare non-sequel, and that would be Stephen King's It. I was more excited about this maybe before I started seeing pictures of the clown.
Is it fair to call it a non-sequel when it's
a remake?
A remake of... I guess. I thought the remake was a made-for-TV miniseries.
I thought you were headed towards like something that's truly a new intellectual property.
Okay, that's fair, and that it was a TV miniseries.
I'm not trying to nitpick, but it's...
No, that's fine. I tend to not think about that.
Was leading me to think that you're going to say The Dark Tower.
Well, fair enough. Let's talk about The Dark Tower.
Well, they're all in the same universe. Let's go back to they're all sequels.
And let's go back to it. What did you guys think of the first images that they released of Pennywise?
Not a fan. I mean, it made me marginally less interested in seeing it. I will probably still see it, but I ceased to be as excited about it because I was kind of like, oh.
Yeah, I think the Tim Curry portrayal creates this indelible image of what that character is. But I'm willing to be open-minded because.
What the hell is going on over there?
I'm grabbing this Dorito. Oh, there's a ladybug.
There's a ladybug.
Okay. All right, let me recompose that thought. And
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
You're like, man,
I don't really like this.
I was trying to figure out why we were making a Doritos film as this was going on.
Vicky's.
I'm going to see this Doritos bag on your Instagram account later or something like. Recording the new podcast. Hashtag Doritos. Please sponsor us. Yeah, Mountain Dew while you're at it.
I'm
sorry. Go ahead, Robbie.
Fine. I'm sorry.
I was excited. There's a ladybug, and it's been around me. I'm distracted.
All right, let me see if I can really regrip where I was.
You were talking about Tim Curry.
Yes, exactly. Tim Curry. Yeah, I wasn't as excited by the images of the new Pennywise, but I think that's because the Tim Curry portrayal is such an indelible image for what that should be. But I'm willing to keep an open mind because tons of people, probably myself included, I can't remember that far back, but when The Dark Knight was first being discussed and everyone was so negative about the idea that Heath Ledger could portray this character, and I was so glad to be proven wrong, and I hope that's the case with this one too.
I might have brought this up in a previous episode about the It remake, reboot, whatever it is, but originally Cary Fukunaga, the director of the first season of True Detective, was in line to make the It film, which he was going to make into two films, one when they were young,
one when they were older.
Sure.
And I was really excited to hear, because he had it all fleshed out and was ready to go with it, and was kind of upset to hear that he dropped out because they weren't going to meet his, I don't know if they were demands, but so I'm not too high on it.
And as evidenced by my snafu, I found the first that made for TV miniseries to be fairly forgettable. Obviously, so I'm always more drawing from what Pennywise looked like in my head, rather than in my head he looked closer to a Tim Curry version than he does this sort of pretentious faux Victorian
so he looks
ruffle
like
collar
a court jester.
I'm not. So again, I'm like you. I'm willing to keep an open mind, but it did marginally lower my enthusiasm. I became a little more guarded than maybe I was prior to that.
This is maybe a weird way to think about it, but it seemed to, if you were to A/B the pictures, it seemed to me like the modern one that they've created. It's an attempt to make that character sexy, or more appealing to young people.
Yeah, I could
his
see
clothes
that.
is
Goth.
tighter fitting.
Yeah, and it's a little goth. It's got that sort of goth faux historical.
Yeah, it's not the typical American portrayal you would think of a clown with the very billowy.
Yeah.
At least
very modern.
The original Pennywise was supposed to attract children. There's no child. Mommy, take me to go see the creepy Victorian guy. I love his collar ruffle.
Fuck me, that clown.
It would have been interesting to see a take that maybe looked something like John Wayne Gacy or something like that.
Something a little more kind of greasy and unsettling about him.
Yeah,
I would
Eat
agree.
A big old bucket of KFC.
Now, speaking of Stephen King stuff, how where do you stand enthusiasm-wise for the Dark Tower?
I'm high. I'm pretty freaking high.
It's got Idris Elba in it. That's a good start.
Idris Elba.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he plays.
He's Roland.
Roland. Yeah.
I just came.
I see Jeremy's as excited about Idris Elba as I am.
And we're smack dab in the middle of what is the reconnaissance or
what?
The Matthew McConaughey resumption. Yeah, the Renaissance of Matthew McConaughey.
He plays Man in Black, doesn't he? I was like, why are we bringing up Matthew McConaughey?
Yeah.
Okay.
So very excited for those two. I mean,
yeah, I'm interested to see how their take on the Dark Tower, and I liked that the cast announcements for that kind of flipped the script for everyone's expectations, because if you'd have just said we're filming the Dark Tower with Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey, having read the Dark Tower, Roland in the Dark Tower couldn't look more like Matthew McConaughey in my head.
Spindly and
it's just that sort of rugged, lantern-jawed gunslinger. And so I was in that first announcement. I'm like, ooh, Idris Elba would be really good as like the Man in Black, that dark. I could see him really bringing that out. And I was kind of like, oh wait, now they've traded places, and I'm almost more excited because I'm going to be really interested to see how that sort of plays out.
And Idris Elba plays an amazing villain. Like,
that's kind of what I was hoping for, was him being that
Idris
villain.
Elba plays an amazing everything.
He does. He plays an amazing Luther. Oh.
I was gonna ask how many people have seen Luther. Yeah,
Luther is good.
It's the best. That's got to be my favorite show.
Yeah, whether
it's
he's
better than
playing
Stranger
a
Things.
detective or the guardian of the Rainbow Bridge, or
he is a good Asgardian.
He is an excellent Asgardian.
What was?
Did I see? I see this written down on here. Train Spotting 2.
Yes.
Why?
I beg your pardon? Yeah. Why what is this like? It's just a 5-minute. And here's the grave of this overdose victim, and here's the grave of this overdose victim. And
there was I've been watching the Vice News Tonight program on HBO, and one of the recent episodes, they spoke to the group of guys who inspired the Train Spotting story, and they all are part of a recovery group, for men in that particular part of England and Scotland who are affected by heroin abuse, and they use sports programs to help keep the guys minds occupied and distracted. And they talked about how much of the first Train Spotting film is kind of like a point for point recreation of what their experience was, both in the actual the lows of their experience, but also the scenes when they're playing soccer and everything. That was a direct correlation to what these guys were doing.
And that brings up a good point, and maybe we're not. I'm maybe not giving this the fair shake, because the experience of a serious drug addiction may very well be a vastly different experience in year of our Lord 2017 than it was in the mid to late 90s. I mean, this may be an eye-opening look at what it is to be addicted to heroin or to be addicted to a dangerous drug in the year 2017.
Yeah. And I mean, I haven't seen that much info about the new film, but I don't think that we should presume even that it's about drug abuse. I mean, I'm sure that'll be touched on, but it's going to be about those characters and presumably what their lives are like now, and perhaps it'll be about them having kicked their...
It's not just a rumor. It's been...
I thought it was a done deal.
It's coming out.
It's coming, right? Yeah.
They did a lot of promotion for it recently.
But it's a movie that could be shot in a short amount of time on a fairly slim budget, so it's not going to have the production turnaround that, say, Star Wars Episode 8 might have.
The original film had an awesome soundtrack.
Oh, it's a great soundtrack.
The song "Underworld's Born Slippy," I think is the name of the song. It also had New Order's "Temptation."
Yep.
Those are two songs that I still listen to this day.
Oh yeah, it's a great soundtrack. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Andrew.
Oh no, go ahead.
No. All I was gonna talk about is we were kind of dancing back and forth between these things. Was given the trailer that everyone saw, how excited are we about the new Blade Runner?
Yeah.
I was expecting to not be as excited until I saw that trailer and kind of went like, okay, I think I'm on board with this thing. Let's run with it.
Did you guys hear the latest update?
I suppose not.
On Blade Runner?
Do tell.
They filmed a bunch of scenes with Ryan Gosling and felt like he wasn't quite the fit, so they cut all of his footage and they brought in Idris Elba, and he's going to film the rest. Oh, that would have been so good.
I know.
I can't wait for Idris Elba and Alien Covenant. That's going to be a really interesting movie too.
He's going to pop up out of Prometheus after dying in Prometheus.
I think most of us are, or at least three of us are fans of like the God damn it, what's it called? The type of music that like Laserhawk does.
Oh, absolutely.
Retrowave.
Future,
Does it seem like it's all starting to come to a head because one, Katy Perry, the pop singer, is putting out a vaporwave album.
What?
Yeah, from what I saw in an article.
Retrowave or vaporwave?
Vaporwave.
Oh,
is
no.
what I'm quoting it as.
So it's going to be like it's going to have a bunch of Windows desktop background sounds in it. And
this is what they had.
Hold on, I'm googling some shit right now.
But then Blade Runner 2049 is coming out, and it also like shares a lot of the same aesthetics.
Yeah.
As well as The Ghost in the Shell, if you've seen the previous to that, kind of has the same look to it as well. I don't know if it's just...
I think you're right in that it might be the point at which that comes oversaturated.
Yeah.
But also, to be fair, Ghost in the Shell is old material, and Blade Runner's old material, so...
Yeah, you can't really make Blade Runner without that sort of atmosphere to it, that audio atmosphere to it, I think.
Yeah. And it wasn't... I can't remember who did the original Vangelis.
Yeah,
Vangelis, yeah.
First film.
Super airy, synthy.
Yeah,
delicious.
Yeah, I'm always up for when I personally, always look forward when that music comes out, but I can see it getting a little oversaturated. And once Katy Perry starts picking this up, it's the point where it's probably going to get oversaturated.
Based on what I just read while I was Googling, I just want to take a moment to do the nerdy hipster thing and distinguish the kinds of musics that we're talking about. So, the things like the original Blade Runner score by Vangelis and Laserhawk and the such, we would call those retrowave, just where it's very synth heavy. Yeah. Melodic stuff, as compared to vaporwave, which it sounds like this Katy Perry song is, which is it shares the Venn diagrams overlap a lot, but I would call it a distinct kind of thing that
post-industrial future.
I'm not trying to be pretentious about this, but I think retrowave is safe in its own corner. Now, and this is...
Thank God.
this is its own distinct
It's not like it's the hardest music in the world to create.
Yeah, and frankly, a lot of what you see out there is not very good. It's very, like, just like Andrew said. I think there's a lot of people who just ape the style without really bringing anything new to it, and there's a few exceptions to that rule, including Laserhawk, who just kind of tangentially just released a new album in January.
Yeah, it's good.
I can't recommend it enough. But
what if this vaporwave thing that Katy Perry is doing is her Cher moment, and she totally takes it by storm with you believe in life after life? This is her auto-tune Cher moment.
God, God save us. And more so maybe even than this year. This next upcoming year, more so maybe than last year, this upcoming year is going to have a crap ton of comic book movies.
Yep. And we're going to watch them.
Oh, I'll be there for all of them, but it is going to be a parade.
In a couple of years.
A 12-month, 365-day parade of comic book movies.
And we'll probably talk about them on this podcast.
Yes, I have no doubt. There's... we can just kind of to make a quick skip through them. Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man, the now Marvel Cinematic Universe welcomes Spider-Man. You've got the Justice League. I suppose technically you've got Power Rangers. God, what am I forgetting?
There's Thor Ragnarok,
Thor
Wonder
Ragnarok.
Woman, Lego Batman, if you count that.
I forgot about Wonder Woman. That's right. Wonder Woman's coming out this year too. And then next year,
Logan.
I think will be the year. 2018 will be the year of the culminating storyline movies. The sort of Justice League, Darkseid, the Thanos and the Avengers. I think that's going to be the year for
Infinity War.
Those two storylines are all going to be. That's going to be the big battle. We would hope it would be. I would personally would hope that year would be a little thinner on tangential superhero movies, so that those two get the sort of focus and the lion's share of the attention and the detail work.
We ain't done with the tangents. We still got Black Panther coming. We've got we got
Captain
Wonder
Marvel,
Woman solo, right?
The Flash.
Oh
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit briefly about TV. We got coming up. Looming large in my consciousness is Castle Rock. Yeah. I can't be more excited for this Stephen King, J.J. Abrams anthology series. I'm worried. J.J. Abrams seems to now have a hand in every science fiction. The only thing I'm waiting for is to hear that J.J. Abrams is doing the next Dungeons and Dragons, or it seems like everything I care about, he's getting his hands on some way, somehow. Star Wars, sort of Star Trek. I'm lukewarm about Star Trek, but now Stephen King's material. I guess next will be him doing Discworld movies. I would be the only thing I'm missing from him.
Parallel development.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Oh, I was going to ask if you guys ever saw 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yes.
No, I have
not.
I have
not. No.
Do you know the story behind it and J.J. Abrams' involvement? Apparently, the movie was written, and it wouldn't get picked up to be produced, and J.J. Abrams picked it up and looked at it and basically said, or J.J. Abrams' production company or whatever, and they basically said, okay, we like this movie, but we're going to tweak it and rewrite the ending and make it tie into the Cloverfield series. And so when you watch 10 Cloverfield Lane, it's a good fucking movie up until the end where the Cloverfield tie-in is.
Yeah,
and
sort
it
of
ruins
ham-fistedly
completely.
scripts that in.
Yeah, and they did it a third time. They did it a second time with a third Cloverfield movie where they took a script that had nothing to do with Cloverfield and they picked it up and rewrote it to make it a Cloverfield movie. It's so weird.
Yeah, that's that's the stuff that always really kind of chaps my behind is when they have to kind of shoehorn and club-footedly get something that could be really good if you would just let it exist on its own merits, but because we can't really get behind, we can't sink money into something that hasn't proven to have been a previous moneymaker and thereby proving it will be a future moneymaker. That's the sort of stuff, be it a video game or a movie or a television show, it's the stuff that really turns me off and kind of irritates me, makes me much less enthusiastic.
It was super frustrating because I really enjoyed the movie until
John Goodman is the man in it.
Yeah,
he's really freaking good in it.
The chick in the movie is freaking awesome too.
I was surprised by, and maybe surprised is too strong of word, intrigued maybe by the Riverdale, the CW meets Twin Peaks. I gave it a shot, and I'm not like I'm not so like turned off by it that I'm not watching it. I mean, I'm going to give it its fair shot at it. It's better than I expected it to be. Probably not as good as I hoped it would be. I suppose just about right might be as good a description as any. But just as a kind of, it is something that's just come out the last couple of weeks. If you're of an inclination where you hear the words CW and Twin Peaks and think, yeah, that's for me, give it a shot.
I will say, thinking about what this Riverdale show is and what the premise is, dealing with the mystery of this murder and stuff like that, I'm glad that they didn't try to jump on the popularity of zombies in TV and do the Archie like zombie comics.
Yeah.
And instead if they were going to do Archie, they did something fresh.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate that.
Yeah, it feels very different than any kind of an Archie medium before. It gets a little ham-fisted. Like, Archie's hair color is almost Pennywise the Clown orange. I mean, it's a little off-putting, but everybody seems to be playing it straight. Nobody's playing this, like, weird, over-the-top, kind of cheesy version of these characters. Everybody's trying to... I don't know who's directing it, but he seems to be doing a good job of keeping everybody grounded and go like, let's not get too, we're not looking for wacky and zany with this. We're looking to this, and so I can appreciate the intent. And like I said, it's better than I expected. It's not as good as I'd hoped it would be, but I'm willing to ride it out through the season and give it its fair chance. The second series of Stranger Things.
Yep.
That's if you got nothing else, but can I have some more, please? That's good enough. It doesn't need to reinvent the wheel to be worth the time and effort.
I'd be interested to see if it lives up to the hype.
Yeah, the Super Bowl spot that they had, the advertisement, just seeing it
woke me up.
Yeah. I one thing it's popped up on here, and I'm not sure how I feel about it, mostly because I'm not that familiar with the property. Series of Unfortunate Events rebooted as a Netflix series.
We watched a few episodes.
I think it's worth watching.
Yeah,
I couldn't get into it.
On its face, I tried, because being in the sort of book selling business, especially at that point in time, when stuff really became super popular, I would at least try to read it, or to at least expose myself to some aspect of it. So A, I knew what I was talking about, and B, I would kind of have some familiarity with it. And I tried reading those books. I mean, I loved the Harry Potter novels. That worked out for me. Same with, there was a couple of other series. That one was hard to watch, or hard to read rather. And I didn't really, the Jim Carrey movie version seemed kind of hard to watch. I just can't decide if this is something worth taking a shot at or not.
I think there's, I think we're in like such an abundant age of there's already more good stuff that I know I want to watch.
Yeah. That
I'm reluctant to just like speculate on things. Yeah. I guess it's like even if I come away from it feeling like that was fine, ambivalent. It's like, well, would that time have been better spent watching something that I've been heard is truly worth the time? I don't know.
That's a good point.
I watched a series of Unfortunate Events solely based on a really good review that I read, and we watched 3 episodes, and I don't know if we'll watch any more.
I think I'll continue to watch it. I thought it was really fun.
I mean, I'll watch it if you watch it, but
I thought it was really
visually, it's really awesome. Like what they were able to do on, I'm guessing, a fairly small budget was impressive. Like it looks
well made.
Yeah.
Well, but
it's
before,
well acted.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I enjoyed it.
NPH is, as always, awesome.
Yeah, that was maybe the only thing that made me think like I might give it a try, is because everything I've heard is he does a pretty good job in the role, and I there's not much I've seen him in that I haven't enjoyed.
That was what actually turned me off to the show, was that I felt like Neil Patrick Harris was being held back, and I thought that he was underperforming and that he could have given more to that character, and that something was holding him back. Maybe it was the director or the way the script was written or something. Huh?
Maybe to keep it a little more child friendly. Do you think?
No,
maybe?
I just felt like, and I think I only watched the first 2 episodes, and I don't know if it changes, but in those first 2 episodes, I felt like he was really stiff and not as animated as the character demanded. And I'm not going to blame that on Neil Patrick Harris, because I know that he can meet that and excel in those areas. But I was just confused, because I thought like the rest of the show was very animated and colorful and weird, and then Neil Patrick Harris's performance as that character just didn't meet it for me. Yeah. And so that was that's what I was uncertain about with continuing watching the show.
Someone put Silicon Valley down.
I did, yeah. This coming April is like a blowout month for me in terms of TV. The number one, as Andrew just mentioned, the 4th season of Silicon Valley is coming along, and that might be, in my opinion, the best TV show going.
It's awesome
right now. It stands alone. And then there will also be, right alongside that, what I believe is the final season of Game of Thrones, which will be interesting. And
Girls is in its final season as well.
Well, thank God for that.
I was just going to say that.
I'm not. I shouldn't say that. I've never watched it. I don't know. Here's my beef with Girls is that it seems like
it's about girls, and we hate girls.
Well, number one, yeah, I suppose the subject isn't very relatable to me as a man. Go
ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say I have beef with that show because of a more meta, fact about it, and that is that all of the actors in it, all of the women have
vaginas,
family they have movie and TV business family contacts, and so it's on the surface it seems to me like this is we get to play in this world because our dads and our uncles and our relatives are permitting us to not on the strength of it being like an actual worthwhile show, but daddy's paying for it is like how it comes across to me, and maybe I'm wrong.
I think that they're all white girls. They're in their mid-20s or what have you. So I think
it's been done. Sex in the City, come on.
they were Sex in the City was older.
Wow, they look good to me.
They did. They looked amazing, but that's not the point. The point is that I think they miss a large group of people because of who the main characters are.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and you're talking to a table full of people who are not affluent, and it's I think that's maybe another thing that is like I'm supposed to really worry about the struggle, even if it was about a bunch of it reminds me a little bit of Entourage, and why that show is, in my opinion, for somebody like me, just so thoroughly unwatchable. I watched it for a long time, and I looked at it and I wondered, like, was I just like, is it because it's just this fantasy?
It's a fantasy.
Yeah. Like, is that why it appealed to me even a
fantasy
of
douchebags?
But yeah, exactly. But anytime somebody on that show would have a problem, it's like, give me a break. Like, you're really struggling, really.
I say that, but I watch Girls. I enjoy Girls. I don't always enjoy the characters, and they do frustrate me. But I like that. I like characters that I don't like. Does that make sense?
Can I give one?
It's Always Sunny.
Sorry. Well, no. Yeah, It's Always Sunny. If you don't watch It's Always Sunny, fucking watch It's Always Sunny. But if you don't watch one show and you want to watch one show, watch Broad City. Because
Broad City's awesome.
Broad City is amazing.
I know. This is not something I'm aware of either.
Broad City.
They worked so hard for that
Broad
show.
City's
It's awesome.
what girls should be.
Hold on. So
real.
is
Broad City
that the
No, only
that
because
the
there are
homonym
girls
of broad
living in
or-
New York. Only because
They're hilarious.
they're young women living in
amazing.
New
I'm
York.
Hold on, are they
Probably-
broads or are they dumb broads? Are they? Is it
No,
that kind
they're
of broad?
amazing
that we're talking-
broads.
Is that what's
Welcome
called
to the
Broad
Revolving
City?
Sexist Podcast.
I'm just trying to understand the context of broad here.
I'm trying to think of.
Does it take place in like the 40s or what?
No, they're modern. They're modern day broads.
There's some sweet tomatoes.
Hannibal Buress plays a really big part in the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
He's who's Alana's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flingy boyfriend
Yeah.
guy.
they have a lot of comedians come in and out of the show too.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It really is funny.
They started as a web series
Yeah.
and garnered enough attention
Yeah.
to.
Oh, speaking of that's another thing that I just thought about. I'm pretty sure it was started in 2016, but and it also started as a web series. But I really enjoyed High Maintenance.
Oh, that was
I
good.
thought that was great. Yeah.
We need to finish
I wasn't
that
a
one.
fan.
You didn't like it?
I didn't like it. I'm
What?
sorry. I
Fine, it's
did
fine.
not like
no
it.
apology
Well,
necessary.
never mind. I'll watch it on my
I
I was
watched
going
a
to
friend.
say Andrew's watching it by himself.
A friend had showed me the web series like 5 years ago, and it just came and went. I was like, this is pretty funny. And then I started watching the show proper, and I went back and watched all of the web series, and I loved it. Yeah, it's great.
Well, we probably at this point in time might be as good a time as any to probably bring this to a close. We've done a pretty thorough covering of what we've watched and experienced this last year, and what we're hoping to watch and experience in the coming year. We appreciate you coming back with us.
Hey, Marty.
Yeah, what's up?
We didn't talk about Earl Sweatshirt. I need to know, why is this guy called Earl Sweatshirt?
He was let's do this really quickly. He was a rapper for a big group of rappers called Odd Future Wolfgang Kill Them All. And but they're
amazing.
They're normally called Odd Future, and they had a huge collection of underground rappers, but they were all really young. They were
It was
all in
like
their
a big
teens.
rap supergroup.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard of Frank Ocean. He came out of that. Tyler, the Creator, he was a big part of
Sounds
that.
familiar. I just want to know why he's called Earl Sweatshirt.
That's
I've
just-
seen it.
that's
I've
his
seen him
moniker.
around.
Because it's slightly less weird than Death Angel Wolfgang Kill or whatever that was.
Odd Future Wolfgang Kill Them All.
Yeah, that's
That's a badass name.
and Earl
for a
Sweatshirt
band.
looks better on a T-shirt than
On a
maybe not.
sweatshirt.
But if you had Sweatshirt printed on a t-shirt,
I do like Earl Sweatshirt's previous album titled "I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside." He has a new album
That's
coming
awesome.
out 2017.
I listen to that.
Can I read some of these headlines that you put down?
Sure.
I just think they're really funny. The headphone jack. Next. Fake
Get rid
news
of it.
infects Facebook. The explosive Samsung Galaxy Note
Diarrhea.
7. Self-driving cars rev their engines.
Be a headline writer.
It's
a real talent.
Snapchat sets the bar for digital cool.
Digital cocks.
This one's my favorite. Hacking gets even worse.
Better.
We got to beef
It
up
depends
our cyber
which side of
people.
it depends what side of the line you're on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hackers probably think it's getting better.
The rise of Facebook Live
Apparently, that's a thing.
and Apple versus the FBI.
Those are all 2016 stories, people. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, I think we're gonna call this one again.
The rapper.
It's been a while since we've been here, so
It's
this
all in the
one's
mind.
probably gonna run a little longer. We appreciate you sticking around with us. We're glad to be back. We're certainly glad that you're back with us. As always, we'd love to hear from you, good, bad, or indifferent. You can get a hold of us on Facebook at Revolving Culture Podcast. Holler at us on Twitter and Instagram at RevCult Podcast. And you can just go to revolvingculturepodcast.com, and there we are. So I think... So,
I was playing you off, Marty. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I'm just really tired, and I've got to work in the morning. Let's see. Where were we at?
It's all right. That could be the end of the episode.
Okay. So I guess I'm Marty.
I'm Robbie.
Andrew.
Vicky?
Jeremy. And Jeremy.
Let's try Vicky and Jeremy again.
Jeremy, you want to go first and then I'll go?
No, let's go at the same time again.
Okay.
Go.
I'm Vicky.
And I'm Jeremy.
And on behalf of all of us, we thank you again and have a wonderful week. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.
See ya. Hope your week sucks.
Bye-bye.